This particular strain of HIV that I was given, my doctor said in African Americans, it attacks the kidneys. I find out that my parents, on my dad's side, had a lot of kidney issues. He passed away with a kidney issue, and his brother. And so if I'd known that, I would have been a little bit more proactive. But, again, I was so into my hurt that I was thinking only of me and my escape mentally. And it led to getting this particular strain and then, and it creating kidney failure. So that was really devastating when I found out. I did, and I kind of gave up then. I said, 47, I lived a long life, oh well, whatever, because I didn't understand and know what dialysis was. I knew it sounded awful. 12 hours of my awake life is gone. Things I could be doing, and now I have to be sitting and saving my life for 4 hours. It seems like that's a sentence for playing like I did. There's no saying that I kind of adapted. If you dance, you pay the band, and I'm paying the band right now. After I got my flu, I was really sick, and the time before I would always snap back, and I always would get better, and then get sick and get better. This particular flu strain that they had this year was so bad that I couldn't snap back. It was getting really bad, and I had already had my port ready, so when I did get sick, that I would be ready to be plugged in. So thank God I had that available. I was smart in being proactive to get that done. When I couldn't take it anymore, I called my doctor and he told me to do labs. He said it's even worse than it's ever been. He said, I'm not going to start you on dialysis until you tell me how you feel. Because I was really resistant. I said, I'm not going to do this. And he says, I think you're going to, but just when you're ready, I'm going to let you govern that. And he did all the way till the end. He says, I'm going to wait until you tell me you're feeling good or bad or whatever, and we'll get you into a chair if you need it. I'm feeling bad. It's not getting better. Every time I raise my head, when you stand up too quickly and you see black sometimes, and your blood pressure gets kind of out of whack, or you've dehydrated or whatever, that's what it felt like. Every time I moved my head around, black, dizzy, black. If I sat in one spot, I was okay. But when I moved around, it was really hard. So I said, let's do this, and it got me into a chair. First time, I was frightened to death. I wasn't feeling well, and when I got into the building, I felt like I needed a wheelchair, and I needed someone to push me in. I was so weak, frail. I called before and I said, I want lidocaine shot, in my arm so I don't feel the needles. And I get there and they didn't have lidocaine ordered. And I said, you don't have lidocaine ordered? I got up, I said, I'm gonna go walk away. If you don't have lidocaine, then to numb my arm with those large needles going, I'm not doing this. I'm getting up and I'm leaving. When the technician said, no, please stay, no, please stay. We can work that out, just Then the second time we went back, and then they did 3 hours. It hurt a little, the second time. The third time, my arm was like inflamed, and they're trying to stick, because now my arm is inflamed, they can't get to the vein. And it's 2 and 3 sticks, sometimes 20 minutes digging around until they can get it. And that's very painful. There's times where I'm in the chair crying, bawling like a baby, because they're pulling these needles, they're moving them around, they're trying to get into the vein. And then my arm gets so black and blue. The vein is so harder to find now that everything is swollen, and I'm constantly at home putting ice. And I told my doctor, I said, I need some pain management, otherwise I can't do this. There was times where I said, I'm not coming in. It's like I get stabbed, put ice on it, ready to heal, next day, You know, I got ice on it. The next day, I gotta go get stabbed again. You know, it's like it's just starting to heal and it gets poked again. Jean's a godsend. She helps me with dialysis. She helps me with making sure I'm, taken care of while I'm sitting in the chair. She takes me to all my doctor appointments. I handle all of my medicines. I know, and there's a lot of medicines. I should show you the big box of medicines I have. A lot of medicines, and I do that to know that if your blood isn't clear, your mind isn't going to be clear. And no matter how much you're staving off, you're still sacrificing your cognizance. Because things aren't coming, or your blood isn't clear and it's not getting enough oxygen, it's not getting whatever it is, the toxicity is still there, you're not thinking it's clear. And I knew that was starting to develop. I started including, because I would go to my doctor appointments and she'd sit in the lobby and I'd go in there and I'd come out. Then I had to remember exactly what the doctor had said and all that, so I was going, okay, you know what? Let me add her into this. I slowly started integrating her into, because I'm so trying to hang on to every last ounce of independence I got. I'm not gonna let it go. I'm gonna fight it tooth and nail. It's a war and I'm gonna beat it, and so every little thing, and I gotta watch that too, because every little thing, sometimes I don't know how to ask. I don't know how to ask her for things sometimes because I want to do it myself, and she's right there, and I'll try to do it myself. That's because I'm trying to fight my independence, and I don't want to let it go, and I got to find that marriage to say it's okay to ask for certain things, and that's the hardest thing ever, and she's patient as hell. She's there, she helps me, she plugs in my phone, she turns on she puts in the Wi-Fi for me. She gets everything set up so I can listen to my BB King and get ready. And then she makes sure I'm hydrated. Anything I need, she helps me with. It's kind of like I have a pit crew, She's right there for anything that I need. And she also handles my appointments and calls and stuff and deals with them while I'm sitting there. Tracks down my medication too while I'm sitting there. So she's kind of my right arm, my left hand actually. She really helps me out. So that I couldn't get through it without her, I think. But she's a great support, and I'm so glad I have her. She's been there with the heart stents, everything. She's been there for me. So it's funny because the doctors think that she's my wife. I was at the pharmacy the other day, and this lady, she works behind the counter, and she says, "Oh, how is your wife doing? She's so sweet. I really like her. She's so neat. Tell her I said hello." I says, "Yeah, she's right out in the car waiting for me. I'll tell her." I guess in my mind, I have to keep fooling myself, So when I go in to get stuck, I have to have my BB King or my blues. I gotta hear my blues to hear that ping, that guitar, that blues guitar, and that, and Lucille. When I hear Lucille, it takes me away. That poke is that high guitar strum, and it allows me to just deal with it, to let my arm go like now my arm's my kidney. Now my kidney's like right there, and I have to realize that that's the access that's gonna keep me alive. And I have to keep telling myself that. Because there's times where I just do not want to have the pain inflicted. I just don't want it that day. And I do it because it keeps me alive, It's kind of a gloom and doom setting there where everyone's in a chair and their blood's being cleansed. And it's hard to see a lot of the homeless people there, and a lot of people that could look like potential drug addicts, I don't know, are just all walks of life there, you know, and it's humbling me. That's another thing that's humbling me too, is sitting in that chair and looking at people who are probably worse off than I am. Like, some have missing limbs. A lot of them have missing limbs. Some are young. One guy's younger than I am. I look at him and he barely gets onto the scale, and he's just a good-looking man. And he's just sitting there, shaved and nice and dressed well, and he, you know, barely can walk, and the guy has to help him put his coat on. And look, I go, my story is not their story. And maybe I'm a little bit more healthier. Maybe there's something more I can offer by telling my story, you know. And that helps me sit in the chair, telling the story. It's the only thing that gets me through it.